welcome to show number 4 of Tyler Talk, the only place to get the latest sporting news wherever you are. My name is Tyler Brown, and today we have got a lot to give you today. We have got a new co-host, we've got NFL, football/soccer, wherever you are, NBA news, and finally the first topic for Big Talk. But I need to do one thing for me first. I need you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to get notifications on all videos. And also, get on Instagram and follow us on TYB_talk. That's right, TYB_talk. But without further ado, let's get into today's show. So, it is true. I have now found a co-host to be on the show with me just because I feel like my voice sounds like a robot because I'm speaking to myself in a room. But I finally found someone who has similar but different opinions to me at the same time. So it'll be a nice conversation flow with every topic we talk about. And this is someone that I have worked with, played sports with, lived with for a little while, and even gone out partying a few times when lockdown wasn't around. But without further ado, I want to introduce you to the man, the myth, the legend. That is Kaya Baxter. How you doing, bro?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Good man. Right, so let's get it first off. What do you prefer to be called? Do you prefer Kaya or do you prefer something else?
Well, obviously Kai is my name. Friends either call me KB or Baxter, so whichever works is good for me, really.
Okay, no worries. So obviously, I normally call you as KB anyway, but
Yeah.
obviously I didn't know how you liked it on this. So let's talk about yourself, man. Who do you support in terms of football, American football, and basketball?
So I'm from Manchester, starting off. So I support the right side of Manchester, which is obviously the red side.
There we go. Thank you.
In terms of when it comes to the American sports, NFL team, I'm a Steelers fan. To be honest, that did have a lot to do with Bell and Brown, but they're gone, but I stayed. And when it comes to NBA, I guess I'm a LeBron fan. I am one of them guys. So I don't really have a team, but I want the Lakers win because LeBron's there.
Fair enough. There are people that just do that. I know a lot of people that follow Kevin Durant as a player as well. So they used to be Warriors fans, and then they switched to they just follow wherever you go. And also, it's I feel like I think that's the only sport you can do that with.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you say you were like a Ronaldo fan, it's like you're just sort of hopping on a bandwagon, like you start getting
I think it's an American thing, to be honest, because growing up, you didn't really hear anyone say, "Oh, I'm a Rooney fan. I don't like United. I just like Rooney." Like you might hear that, but it's not an actual thing. Whereas for basketball, I feel like a lot of people they associate themselves with that team just because the players there. But yeah,
I wouldn't say it's
I guess I'm one of them people now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's American. I'd say it's more of a basketball thing because if you think of NFL, like when Tom Brady left New England, lots of people said, "Oh, you're going to be a Tampa Bay."
Oh yeah, true.
So I was like, "No, I'm a Patriots fan." Like Tom Brady wasn't the reason why I was a fan.
Yeah.
Those other influences like family and other things like that. But no, 100%. It is nice to have you here, KB, for the program. But without further ado, let's just get into the show, shall we? Right, to start us off, KB, got a nice big story for you to put your input on. Russell Wilson is looking, well, he's not looking for a new team, but he sort of said that he's happy at the Seahawks, but he's listed 4 teams that he would go to.
Yeah, he's flirting with them. He's flirting.
Yeah, it's sort of like, I think Nick Wright put it brilliantly on First Things First. He said that like, "Oh, I've got a public announcement to make. I love my wife, but here are 4 women I'm preparing to date." That's what he said. Like,
yeah.
I found that hilarious when he said that. But let's look into his career, because like he's had a bit of a yo-yo career, as I like to call it. He obviously got picked at number 75 by the Seahawks in 2012. 144 games played, 65% of passing completions, average of 7.8 passing yards. That totals up to 33, nearly 34,000 passing yards, 267 touchdowns, 81 interceptions, and he's been sacked a whole lot of times, 394. But on the plus side, he is one of the only. I think he's one of the 4 QBs that has a rating over 100 in consistent seasons. And then obviously you go into his awards. Obviously, he's got a Super Bowl to his name. He's got 8 Pro Bowls, a second team All Pro. He won the Walter Payton Man of the Year this year. He saw him with Roger Goodell at the Super Bowl. And also, he's actually won an MLS Cup, technically. He's one of the 11 part owner families who own the Seattle Sounders, as well as, I think, Sierra's one of them, Macklemore. They're the big names that own. I don't know, obviously, every single family. But what's your opinion on what's your take on Russell Wilson? Like, if I said to you, like, what I'm saying to you now, what is Russell Wilson like? How do you rate him? What's your opinion?
I think when it comes to Russell Wilson, he's one of the select few quarterbacks where it's like he's been there, he's done it at any age, any team. It doesn't matter who he's playing. He's a premier player in the NFL. Like it doesn't matter the situation. It's not like, oh, but he's got them this week or last week they had them, so they were shaky. Russell Wilson's always there to perform. He always performs. He always turns up. So in terms of when it comes to trade talks, I'm sure everyone's ears is pinned up trying to wonder or try to work out where he's going, because that's a big move if it does happen.
Oh yeah, it's a huge move. Like Russell Wilson has been someone who I feel it personally, he's been disserviced by Pete Carroll in the future. Obviously, people say that their relationship is great, but I've never heard of Russell Wilson making the executive decisions. I've seen videos of him suggesting things and they'll do something completely different. And I think that's like a revolving relationship between Pete Carroll and Russell. I've also heard that like Pete Carroll didn't really want Russell Wilson. Like he was looking elsewhere, but Russell was obviously the QB that was available in that late in the draft because they obviously had other requirements that season. And I think that speaks a lot towards the relationship between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. But let's look at the 4 teams. The 4 teams that he said that even though he's happy at Seattle, he's happy to flirt with a little bit. So we've got the New Orleans Saints, the Las Vegas Raiders, Chicago Bears, and the Dallas Cowboys. What's your take on them 4 teams?
If I was to talk about the Bears, if I was Russell Wilson, the Bears shouldn't even. Hell no, if I'm going to be honest. Like, nah. The Cowboys is a bit. It's the Cowboys, isn't it? It's all flash and glitz and glamour, but the team might not turn up. Do you get me? So they've got the names there, but are they going to be able to actually turn up on the day? If I think the Saints were probably going to be very similar to last season in terms of their roster, obviously minus Drew Brees. I think he'll be very good on the Saints. I think the Raiders is probably the most interesting, intriguing one. I think they've got, I don't know if it's the best O-line, but they've got the most expensive O-line, so that probably has a lot to do with why he wants to go there. You've got Gruden as the head coach. So I think the Raiders is probably the most interesting one, probably the most curious one. I think the only team there where I'm like, if I'm Russell Wilson, I'm not going to is the Bears. If I don't get why the Bears have been brought up, but there might be something that he sees that I don't. You never know.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, because these are the teams these are not teams that analysts have looked at and said these are the best fits. These are the teams that he's openly said are the place he wants to go to. So he might have a reason with Chicago. He might fancy a chance to play with Allen Robinson, who I think he'll leave anyway, but it's one of those. No, good takes. I go off facts a little bit. Me, so I obviously do as a journalist, as a self-proclaimed journalist anyway. I like to look into everything. So with the Saints, the Bears, and the Raiders, they haven't got the cap space for a Russell Wilson-esque contract because obviously they're gonna have to pay Seattle a lot of money, but then they're gonna have to pay Wilson a lot of money, and they're way below the average for the way below the NFL average for salary cap. I think the Saints and the Raiders are minus of millions, and the Bears have like got like pennies, like what? No, like, NFL pennies. Obviously, towards that'd be life changing money, but but to an organization in the NFL, it's pennies they've got. So my best take is the Dallas Cowboys. They got a new head coach. They've not signed Prescott exactly up yet. So I can see a cheeky little phone call going in into that. Mike McCarthy, the new GM, the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, he gets on the phone. That's whether or not if he's actually serious about this matter. I feel like with with the Seahawks, he's obviously has said alongside these are the 4 teams he's happy there. I feel another way to look at it is that is he doing this just because he wants to be more of a game manager on the field? He just wants a bit more say in the plays and stuff like that. Because he's a ball player. He's a good ball player. It just comes to the fact of if he's looking just to get a bit more of a bigger seat at the table, go for the.
Is it more of the off the field thing than an actual on the field thing? Because on the field at the Seahawks offense, there doesn't seem to be a lot of problems anyway.
Yeah, I feel like it's more like he wants to move from the kiddie table at Christmas to the adults table at Christmas. You know what I mean? And finally make that step up. But no, we'll see what happens there. I personally think he'll stay, but if he had to go, Dallas is my main place he'd go. And for you, it'd be the Raiders. Raiders is a very interesting place to look at it because I can't see Derek Carr being there for long. He's had too many injuries for me to be the next thing for them. And I think they need to sort the QB situation out with a veteran QB. So that's a good choice. Right. So next up, we're going to talk about Alex Smith and the apparent dismissal from the Washington football team. This is Tyler Brown and KB of Tyler Talk. Stay tuned for more. So KB, I've seen this go around the news quite a lot actually. Alex Smith is apparently going to be dropped from the Washington football team. I'll let you have your opinion first, and then I'll have my rant.
I mean, here's basically how I see it. I think every time Alex Smith drops back, everyone holds their eyes, trying to hope that he doesn't get hurt. I also think that he's not the greatest quarterback anyway. So I feel like in terms of cutting ties, I personally would cut ties with him because I just don't think you gain that much from having him as your quarterback. If I'm the Washington football team, can I just say that's the worst name of any sports team ever made? If I am part of the Washington football team, on the looks of it, they've got is it Heineke? Heineke? Yeah.
He's the only quarterback. I think everyone on the team calls him Henny. Anything is possible.
Yeah. I think that's the only quarterback they've got. So unless they're going to make big moves in free agency, which I also don't really see happening, I don't see the sense in getting rid of Alex Smith. Even if he's just going to be a body there, he's probably going to be better than anyone else they pick up. But that's just from what I can see.
No, 100%. I feel like, obviously he won top comeback player from, multiple leg surgeries, which I think was fantastic. And then I think I agree with you in terms of whenever he dropped back from a snap, everyone's like, oh crap, he's surrounded by people and this happened last time. But honestly, I don't think this is a smart move from Washington. Yeah, obviously, what I'm going to actually again going to agree with you. Washington football team is the worst name ever, but I think that's because they can't decide. I've seen rumors that they're going to decide on an actual team name this year. I know Bleacher Report have 2 or 3 good suggestions. I'll try and get them up in a second, but they have some quite good suggestions that are really linked to Washington as a whole. But yeah, I'm not happy with this. Like, if it does happen, I'm not happy with this. I feel like it's a massive disrespect to Alex Smith. He's worked his ass off. Like, he came back way too early than he should have done, really. But that's obviously just, I mean, that's a football thing, really, isn't it? Us two playing together, we have like little niggles on ourselves, and
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
go like,
His leg was hanging off by the looks of it.
Pardon?
His leg was hanging off by the looks of it. So for
Yeah,
him to even be back on the field is ridiculous.
yeah. But I feel like, well, talking back, to the other QBs they've got, let's look into it. Obviously, they've got anything is possible. Taylor Heineke, Stephen Montez. I think he's just one of those players that he just fills up the roster. But they don't want to give him away for some reason. So, and then obviously you've got Kyle Allen, the ex-Panthers quarterback, who, he's now going to be on the injury-prone list because of that fractured ankle he suffered. But yeah, I feel like it's a massive disservice to Washington, even though they have admitted, or Alex Smith admitted, that he halted their plans. He got them to the playoffs. At the start of the season, they were losing every single game. They were going to be the Cleveland. I thought they were going to be the Cleveland Browns for the next 3 years. The past Cleveland Browns, 0-16s. But then Chase Young obviously balled out. Rookie of the year, like absolute beast of he is. And then everything just started clicking, and they obviously got themselves to the playoffs. And then obviously they lost to a Tampa Bay side after Alex Smith got himself injured. But I feel like I do feel it's a massive disservice to the player. For everything that he's done for that organization, and then they're just going to kick him to the curb. I feel like it's really wrong for them to do that. But obviously, with that, if it does happen, the next question is, where do you think he'll go? I've read a lot of things. These are the 3 teams that I've picked for him: the New England Patriots, the Chicago Bears, and the Denver Broncos. What do you think about them 3 teams?
I think if he goes to any of them, the difference in the season that they have compared to last isn't huge. I feel the Patriots would benefit from him, but I still think the Patriots have similar problems to what they already had, especially on offense with Alex Smith there. I don't know. I might be like undershotting Alex Smith's ability by a lot, but Alex Smith doesn't do anything to personally like blow my mind, or he's not carrying the offense anywhere to where
no, he's not.
Wasn't before.
No, he's
nowhere
near an elite quarterback. Nowhere near. Like he's the type of quarterback you have just to fill in the spots, and then obviously I think he understands that as well, to a point where so say like he goes to New England, because I feel like New England will go towards the veteran route. Either they'll probably go for Alex Smith, or maybe Ryan Fitzmagic Patrick in that route until they get themselves a franchise quarterback, whether it's drafting or they pull something out of the bag with that large salary cap they've got this year. Then obviously I gone for the Bears, because I mean, anything's better than Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think they've got the same problems. Do you get me? Like, they're still gonna have, is the quarterback good enough, or that throw was a bit off target, or is he clicking with the receivers? I still think they have the same problems if they get Alex Smith than they had last season. I think if they'll keep one of Trubisky or Foles, they probably keep one of them as well. And then it's like, who's starting this week? Is he better? Is he better? What's going on? Like, I don't feel like Alex Smith is changing anything anywhere. But I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well, we actually don't know what Alex Smith is capable of, because Washington didn't exactly have the top targets and the top receivers in the league. Obviously, this is all going on the basis for me if Allen Robinson stays. I still think he'll leave, but if he does stay and they get Alex Smith in, it could be a decent partnership. But like you said, we don't know exactly what Alex Smith is capable of yet, truly.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Broncos are on there. I feel I've only based this on the fact that if they don't get Deshaun Watson, because Deshaun Watson is still my front runner for the Broncos. I think if not the Broncos, the Panthers will get him. But I feel with the Broncos, Deshaun Watson fits into that organization perfectly because they're on a rebuild. And they obviously they have the the recruitment process and the players necessary to make another Super Bowl run. They just need the franchise quarterback. And Drew Lock is not a franchise quarterback. I feel like they only picked him because of the fact they were going to look for bigger and better. So like I said, Alex Smith is on the Broncos are on there because if they don't get Deshaun Watson, they'll have Alex Smith to take over Drew Lock.
Any quarterback that is available, the Broncos should be interested, regardless of who it is.
Yes, that's why I put the Bears there. Any QB that's available over their current QBs, let's just go for it. Even if, like you said, they may not fit in, you don't know until you try. It's one of those, really, isn't it? You think of Teddy Bridgewater, he goes to all these different teams, and you think, oh, well, why are we drumming on this same drum? And he does well. He does decent for him. He doesn't go over 16. He actually puts up a good number of stats. So that's all for Alex Smith. Next up, we're going to go on to football, soccer, however you call it, wherever you're from. We're going to go into three big stories. We're going to go into England players snubbing England again, and the Europa League reaction, and our Premier League title update. This is Tyler Brown and KB of Tal Talk. Stay tuned for more. Right, KB. There's something I need to speak about here. What is with all these England FC snubs? Obviously this goes off the fact that Mika Antonio has decided not to play for England. They've decided to go for their other eligible nationality. And obviously I think they join a long list of players who have decided to play for other teams. We've obviously got Wilfred Zaha, who initially played for England but now is at Ivory Coast, and then Victor Moses and Alex Iwobi, who both chose to go from England to Nigeria. Along with many other players, Scott McTominay for United, who decided to go to Scotland, Chuba Akpom for Middlesbrough, who's now in Nigeria, the young Callum Jones of Hull City decided to go to Wales, Wes Morgan, Leicester, Jamaica, Januzaj back in the day, he picked Belgium, and Liverpool's Ben Woodburn chose Wales. So what's your opinion on all these players that are deciding to go elsewhere? They have these are some of the, when you look at the names, these are players that in their time when they're looking, they're in their prime, so they could have made the England squad, but they decided to go elsewhere. What's your opinion on that?
I think there's a few things that come into it. I think the first major thing for some of them is just they might feel a bit stronger ties to their original home countries. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these players were probably born in England, but their household they grew up in, their friends, everything is that other nationality, so Nigerian. So they might identify closer to it. I think what also has a big part to play in it is the gap between England, the gap between the quality between England and some of these other countries. Because I think if the gap was a lot bigger, so for example, France, who are probably one of the best teams in the world right now, and some of the origins of their players, so some of the African countries, the gap's a lot bigger. So, for example, a France and a Senegal, the gap between France and Senegal is that big. So if you're a good to world-class player, you can arguably see yourself as too good to play for a Senegal. Whereas when it comes to England now, I don't think the gap is that big. So someone like, I can't see you, Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay might have closer ties to Scotland. Plus, England are better than Scotland, but we're not blowing them out the water. So why not go and play for Scotland? I'll be happier. The gap in football is not that much bigger. So why not? Plus, I think England do have in certain positions a lot of quality. I don't know why, but for example, right back. I think England have about 4 or 5 right backs right now, which is ridiculous. So when you look at it, someone like Wan-Bissaka is a very good footballer. How much is he going to play? He's not even second or third choice. He might be third or fourth. So he's probably better off going on to play for Congo. I think how congested that squad of players is for England, I think that has a big part to play in it as well.
No, 100%. And like, I feel like going alongside what you said about the amount of choices there are in certain positions, it's obviously hard for managers. You know, when you look back at, present company included with Gareth Southgate, Roy Hodgson and Fabio Capello. I'm not going to include, Sam Allardyce because that whole thing really wasn't. Yeah. He didn't have a competition to go into, but it is a hard decision to make because, like you said, there are so many gifted players in such a small pool. Because if you look at it as in, like you said, right back, you've got the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kyle Walker. Will Kyle Walker be in that? Maybe.
Around about.
Yeah, around about there. It's a hard decision to make for them. But the next question, obviously, is going to be like, for me, is like, our manager's making the right choice? Because, the last World Cup we did very well. I did not expect us to get to semi-finals. Like, I'm putting it out there. I don't think many people expect us to get to semi-finals, but once it's coming home came on, and we just kept getting that little bit of extra momentum and getting the goals in. We obviously did very well, and I feel like with the squad, I think no matter the squad we pick, I feel like the same thing will happen in Euros. I think we'll do above what we think. I think, well, I don't know actually because I know a lot of people actually thinking we could win the thing. I don't think we could win Euros. Yeah. I don't. If we got,
I think the quality is there. I've seen a lot worse teams win trophies. I think the quality is there in that England team to win a tournament. I think with England, it's a lot different to other countries where I think a lot of things other than the football actually end up impacting it. So I feel like the players feel it a lot more. Obviously, football is under pressure every time you step on the pitch. But like you said, when it's coming home brigade starts and everyone's behind the manager, and then you might hit a penalty shootout or something like that, I think the England team does feel it a lot more than others. But do we have more? Obviously, you've got your Frances and teams like that. Do we have more quality than a Spain, maybe? I couldn't think of a Spain starting 11 that's that great right now. Even at Italy, them sort of teams. I think England are in that bracket, so we can make noise. The coaching might let us down, the pressure might let us down, but I do think a lot does go into it.
Yeah, I feel like with the Euros, I think going back to last year's when Portugal won it, I feel like we're similar to Portugal right now. We're a team that we're sort of like Portugal, but at the same time different. Obviously, Portugal had Ronaldo, that was really they obviously had other stars in that squad, but other than Ronaldo, with England, it's like you've got all these stars that should do well, but we're sort of like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like I said, we're sort of in that bracket with Portugal, as in like, oh well, we don't know what they're capable of, but then they come and then they do well, and then people are talking about them for the next few years. This is the first time for a while that I actually think that I've not been bored to watch England.
Yeah,
I've always thought that England players don't really care about playing for England because they've got the bigger and better lives when they're playing for their retrospective countries. But I feel like I mainly watch it for the players that don't play in the Premier League. So Jordan Sancho is obviously going to make the England squad, in my opinion. I feel like it's very interesting to see how he plays with the likes of Marcus Rashford and Jordan Henderson, if he can play, obviously pending injury. But I think it'll be interesting to see how he plays with all these other players. And I think it's just like something like that. It's just like when you think of all the other teams in Europe, all these players play everywhere else. They play, like you've got Paul Pogba who plays in the Premier League, and then you've got Varane who plays in La Liga. Everyone's spread out. But with England, it's all Premier League.
Yeah, as soon as an Englishman plays in another country, it is the biggest thing in the world. And the commentator will mention it every time they touch the ball.
Oh
Every
yeah,
time Jadon Sancho touches a football, it's the Englishman abroad. It's mad. But yeah, I do a lot that I would say a good 98% of the England team play in the Premier League.
yeah, and obviously, you know, I feel like if there was more players abroad, I feel like that would make a decision not easier, but I think it would make it interesting for a manager to pick the players that we see. Because when they play in the Premier League, that doesn't necessarily mean that. So, say for example, oh no. So now I was thinking back, and I think to a good English centre back partnership and thing in Premier League. Is there
But
any?
both English.
Yeah, both England centre back or two players that play together. Like,
I'm not sure, to be honest.
okay, Andy Robertson and Alexander Arnold. Them two play really well with each other. At Liverpool. Will that work for England? That's what you got to think as well. It's like it will work.
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's in terms of systems and tactics, and so like a Jack Grealish for Aston Villa, he's playing left wing. He's their main output. The ball goes to Jack Grealish.
Yeah, but then obviously when he goes
England,
he's not going to be
exactly. Is that going to work? It's not going to be exactly the same.
So the bottom and I think that's the major difference between the England squad and loads of other squads. Like obviously, and then you got to look at it as well as like Chris Smalling and Ashley Young. You know, they're doing well out in Italy right now. Are they going to be in the selection pool? I personally don't think so, but I think there's an argument to make that they can be on Gareth Southgate's mind.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of the England selection, I would be very surprised if, I don't know, is there 25 spots? So let's say there's 25 spots. I'd be very surprised if at least 20 of them spots weren't already like done. I think it's more of the, the players that are going to come in and out, the player that can play left wing and right wing, the player that can maybe drop in and fill a gap in the defensive line. I think they're more the positions that he's going to be thinking about.
Yeah, I do feel like I feel like there's a lot of positions that are like, well, yeah, we're obviously going to put him in a squad. I feel like
that's what I'm saying. I think those players are in, and then it's deciding on starting 11. I think in the terms of like the Mason Mounts, the Foden, Grealish, I think they'll all go. I'd be very surprised if they don't all go. It's just how then does he actually decide to play them? What formation does he fit them all in? Because like I said, just because he does that for Chelsea or Villa or whoever, if England aren't going to play like that, what's the point in him being on the pitch? Do you get me? He's just being wasted. He's just forcing bodies, similar to how we used to do it when we had Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, and all them. Scholes is class playing at United, but then when you're forcing him to a team and playing him at left mid, it's useless. So I think that's the balance that Southgate needs to find with all of these players.
Yeah, but then you got to look at the fact of how you switch that. You know, players that don't like. You think of Danny Welbeck for England. He never played. He didn't play his best football for club football, did it? But they get him an England shirt. He bangs in 2 or 3 goals, like or something like that. Yeah. He always scored a goal. But obviously, like I said, it's a 23-man squad. I've just searched up now that is for Euros. Like I said, there are players that are looking already set in. I feel like your Jordan Pickfords, Harry Maguire's, Kyle Walker, Alexander Arnold, Henderson if he can come back. Harry Kane, obviously, captain. Raheem Sterling. I'd say Sancho and Rashford are pretty much sorted. But it is your Mason Mounts, your Michael Keanes, your Tyrone Mings, Connor Cody, and Joe Gomez's, who are and obviously Wan-Bissaka is in there as well, if they'll make it or not. But yeah, well, it's a big choice for Gareth Southgate to go on to, and obviously going back to our original story of players obviously deciding to go elsewhere. I feel like it's more of a it's more, like I think I do agree with you now when you're saying it's on the household that they get brought up in. because if we go back to the list of, we've got Callum Jones for Hull. I know him quite well. I used to play football with him, on a weekly basis and stuff like that. And he was brought up in a mainly Welsh household, sort of, but obviously in Liverpool. He's from Liverpool, but he was brought up in like a Welsh sort of household. So I think it was an easy decision for him to choose Wales. So yeah. Right, well, that's all we've got for this England segment. Next up, we're going to talk about the Europa League reaction from the draw that was the other day. This is Tyler Brown and KB of Towel Talk. Stay tuned for more. So, KB, the Europa League draw was the other day. It was last Friday. I think I already uploaded my video for last week, and then the draw came, and I was like, "Oh crap! I thought it was the next day." But here's the draw from last week. There's a lot of interesting games there. Obviously not including the United AC Milan game. How do you think the draw went for other teams as well?
I think everyone else would be pretty happy, to be honest. I mean, it is a Europa League draw, so when you're one of the bigger teams, it's kind of hard for you not to be happy with the draw. But I don't think I'd be surprised if there was upsets. I can't lie, I don't know a lot about the smaller teams. But if you're Arsenal and Tottenham and even Roma, you're probably like, yeah, we can get through that.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is, obviously, because we are based in the UK, we're going to go through the 4 British teams and just think about, talk about their recent forms and how and obviously how we feel it'll get on. So start with Olympiacos and Arsenal. With Arsenal at the moment, I don't actually know whether or not I can decide if they're contenders or not. I feel like Arsenal have had it quite easy up to now. And then it's obviously come now to Olympiacos because Olympiacos is a good side. I remember, when you play the early FIFAs, especially when they just give you teams like Olympiacos, they'd obviously come and do you one. Like, they come and do you in a little bit. Obviously in the group stages, they I think did they win their league? Did they win their thing? Or they come second?
I think they had Irish teams in their group, so.
Oh no, sorry. They were in Champions League and then they got kicked out. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, they got kicked out of the Champions League and then they did very well in their last Europa League games against PSV, of all people. I think they beat them 5-4 in aggregate, PSV. And PSV is a good side. When you think of the players that come there and the ethos they have as a team, I feel like they'll give Arsenal a very good run. But like I said, it's just down to if Arsenal turn up on the day.
Yeah. I find it hilarious that Arsenal are having Europa League grudge matches. I think they've been in the Europa League for too long for this to be happening. Didn't Olympiacos knock them out like the year before or something like that? Or 2 years before that?
Yes, yeah.
I remember Aubameyang missing a sitter. Yeah. I think Arsenal should go through, but we say that every week. We say Arsenal should win. We say Arsenal, you never know who's going to turn up. They could get beat 3-0. They could win 4-0. Like, it could go either way.
Yeah. Then obviously we go into the next one, which is GNK Dynamo versus Spurs. We're now getting to a point where Tottenham can easily become the nearly men again.
Yeah.
They go. I feel like they'll win. I feel like they'll win this round because the likes of Gareth Bale and Dele Alli are back on form thanks to Jose Mourinho. But then I think in the later stages they'll just do what they always do, become the nearly men, and they'll just ball at the end. But I think this round Tottenham will have it because, like I said, they're starting to click the players now. They're making a decent Premier League run at the moment. I won't say a decent Premier League run, but they're becoming the Tottenham that we expect to see under Jose Mourinho.
Yeah. It's a lot more. There's a lot more structure to it. It seems as though I think the players have always known what Jose wants them to do. It's just a case of actually executing it. I think the Tottenham team has a lot of mistakes in them. I think that's been their biggest problem this season. A lot of daft mistakes where the centre back gives it away to the winger or the centre mid's out of position, things like that. Because I think going forward, Tottenham are lethal. Tottenham are devastating going forward. So I think that should carry them through. Because even if they do set up in a very defensive manner, I can't see them defending for the majority of the game. And if that's the case, then Tottenham should definitely score a few goals.
Yeah, I feel like if they bring the energy they had against Wolfsburg, because they annihilated Wolfsburg 8-1 on aggregate. If they bring that energy, that same energy to that game, they'll be able to continue. But then it's just, can they carry on doing it? I think that's I feel that's the same problem with Manchester United as well. Well, let's just get into that game as well against AC Milan. I feel like we'll get to a point where we'll get to a semi-final, and then for some reason Solskjaer just can't get past that stage. So I feel like if we get through this round, I feel we can win it. Obviously, this is obviously United fan talking, but if we can beat AC Milan, who else really can stop us? Obviously, this always depends on if Zlatan is playing or not. He's obviously injured, but Zlatan's one of those players where he'll say he's injured, but then come back at the last second and go, "Oh no, I'm fine. And score a cheeky over a kick or 10." But no, let's go into United game. It's more of a fact of, can they obviously keep up the form that they've, can AC Milan keep up the form they've been, having recently? I think the last couple of games they've had 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they're on a decent win streak at the moment. Well, they've been up and down, but they beat Roma a couple of weeks ago. They drew to Udinese yesterday. And obviously they lost to Inter Milan 3-0. But Inter Milan's just that powerhouse at the moment, isn't it, really? It's just one of those. But I feel like going to this fixture, Man United just need to find their spark. Obviously, their game against who did we play yesterday? Crap.
Palace, yeah.
Palace, yeah. The game against Palace wasn't a game that, wasn't an interesting game for me. We'll obviously go into it into the next segment, but they need to up their act if they're going to make it past an AC Milan squad like this. Go on.
I don't watch Serie A football every week, but I feel like United and AC Milan are very similar teams in the fact that they've both kind of ended up towards the top of the league. Neither of them know exactly how they got there. Their teams are very up and down, not very consistent. They're stuttering a lot recently. I do think when it comes to actual quality on the pitch, I do think United do have more quality on the pitch. But as I said, United have been stuttering for quite a few games now. And it just depends on whether by the time this AC Milan game comes around, because I think we've got 1 or 2 games before, whether we can actually start getting performances rolling. Because if we head into that game, how the last couple games have been, because even I think we beat Newcastle 3-1, even that game, in my opinion, it was terrible. It was 3 decent moments of football, but on the whole, it was terrible.
Yeah, it was,
If we head into that game in this sort of form, anything could happen, because I think both teams are really stuttering and struggling to get anything going at the moment.
Yeah, well, we're both second in the league. Obviously, where Milan's obviously not just above their. I think they're 4 points above Juventus at the moment. But obviously 3 points behind Inter Milan, just like United. United are obviously 12 points behind Manchester City at the moment. But yeah, I think it's one of those games, isn't it? Because of the history as well behind it. It'll be quite interesting as well. But it could either go in the fact of it could be a really historic game where there's goals flying and it could be like it could be like the games of old, or it could be like the Leeds game this season. People hyped that up to the max, didn't they? Like, oh, it's Leeds versus United again, and then the scoreline reflected the reality of that match. But I feel like I don't feel like it'll be the same as a Leeds match. I feel like it'll be a very highly contested game. Just because of the way that these two teams are playing at the moment, and the players that they've got on the squad. Obviously Leeds don't have the striking power that United did, really. Then obviously finally we've got Slavia Praha versus Rangers. I feel like Rangers will take full advantage of this. They've not lost a game all season, so I feel like it's gonna follow suit, really, in my opinion. Rangers have been a dominant force. I don't know if you saw the thing about Steven Gerrard yesterday getting sent off at half time.
Yeah.
Due to a bad decision by the referee. But Steven Gerrard just rolled it off. And I feel like, with Rangers, I think Steven Gerrard knows that this team is a special team and they will go far. I feel like I said, the only team to beat is Rangers in this competition. Obviously, apart from United and AC Milan, and maybe Roma if you put them in that group as well. But Rangers are definitely up there in the team to beat in this competition.
I think personally, I think with Rangers, I think they will win the majority of their games in the league. I think that does have a big effect when it comes to the midweek games, because in my opinion, football is a momentum thing. The way that they're rolling in Scotland is ridiculous. Like, not best team in the world sort of form, but they're not being beaten. So
yeah,
you then carry that into Europe against Slavia Prague. I think you've got enough quality to beat them, and the players are going to be confident. Everything's going to be rolling. When it comes to them playing a team that is actually and the players have to step back and go, whoa, like, he's actually good. Do you get me? I feel like a lot could change. I feel like if Rangers played a Bayern Leverkusen, I think it could be a lot different. I just don't feel like the Rangers team, I think it's rolling and everything's good. But I think as soon as they come up against some real quality and the players actually have to step back and think about what they're doing, I feel like a lot could change.
Yeah, and obviously, I feel like the thing with Scottish teams is, and I think it's only going to be just brought to light because of the way Rangers have done it this season. If they go far, is that their season ends in April. They've only got 2 more games left of the Scottish Premier League. They can win it. They can win the league this weekend, and then after that, they can just focus directly on the Europa League. So I feel like I said, Rangers are the team to beat, and I feel like the contribution of the fact they've in the league, they've won 27, drawn 4, lost none. And you said about the momentum picking up. I feel like, and obviously the league ending early as well to put their full focus on this. It's not like, Man United and AC Milan and everyone else and Spurs and Arsenal, they've still got FA Cups and League Cups and the domestic titles as well to look after. So I feel like Rangers need to take advantage of this moment, if there's a better time to do it. Because next season they might not have the amount of luck they have next season, depending on who Celtic and depending on who Celtic hires their next manager. I personally hope it's Frank Lampard, just because of the whole debate between Gerrard and Lampard. But if they are going to take advantage of a moment, this has to be their moment, because the league is ending early. They've pretty much won the league, and then they've not got any other clubs to focus on. So Rangers need to go for it. And then going into the other 4 games that haven't got a UK-based team, Ajax versus Young Boys. I think Ajax are just too strong of a team for Young Boys to beat. But Young Boys have been one of those teams where they'll just get you in the last minute. They'll score. I think they did it against us last season, Europa League. They crept up on us a little bit. Then obviously Dynamo versus Villarreal. A little bit close, but I think Dynamo would just about nick it because of the form they're on at the moment. Roma versus Shakhtar, I think this will be very close. I think this will be very close. A very, very good game. But I feel like Roma are not the team they used to be. When they had Totti and whatnot. So, I just feel like Shakhtar will just rob it from them, because Russian teams, if anything, they're known for their resilience in European competitions. And then obviously you go to the fact of Granada versus Mold. I don't know too much about the teams, but from what I've read, I feel like Mold might just nick it from them. Like I said, you're not really into the other European clubs, are you really? So
I'm not even into the damn Europa League. Only because United are making me watching it. I don't even want to watch flipping Europa League football.
Oh no, if United are in it, I'm not watching it. It's not like It's not a club I like to watch because of the likes of the clubs they have in there. It's just not interesting football to me. Like Russian style football is not something I go, oh yeah, let's stick a bit of that on. No, it's not my style of football. But yeah, man. So next up, we're going to talk about the Premier League title update. What is going to happen in these final 12-11 games? And this is Tyler Brown and KB of Towel Talk. Stay tuned for more. So, KB, title race is sort of coming to an end, really. It's sort of looking towards a Manchester City win, which is obviously heartbreaking for us. The table currently looks like this. Manchester City are at top. Yeah, they're running away with it now. They're 14 points ahead after yesterday's game against Crystal Palace. Leicester are starting to, breathe on the back of our necks. West Ham are still there somehow in the top four, but I don't think that'll last long due to the fact of Chelsea and Everton and possibly Liverpool if they get their momentum back. What's your take on these last final, 11, 12 games?
I think we spoke about it a bit before, just before we started, and I think United are really need to start treading carefully, because if they're not careful, then they could end up in a battle for second, third, and fourth. Right now, we should finish second comfortably, but the way that the last few games has gone and the form of some of our players, it's looking like we're going to be dragged back into a bit of a race for the finish. I think City have showed their quality all season. If anything, they've showed that they're better than we actually thought they were. The run that they've gone on, I think it's 22 games unbeaten or something ridiculous like that. They've conceded 4 goals, scored 50 something. Like it's actually ridiculous what they're doing. I think I can see Leicester having a big drop off, and I can see the quality of Chelsea and Liverpool shining through towards the end of the season. I don't think Liverpool and Chelsea are going to do anything crazy. I just feel like they'll pick up enough points to just go up the table, and then Leicester and West Ham are just going to slowly drop off, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, going back to I think we need to discuss the United thing as 2 United fans. It's there's something I've just seen here on Sky Sports. Man United, since going top on January 12th, we've had more 0-0 draws than wins.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like Crystal Palace yesterday, the Chelsea draw, and the Liverpool draw. What's it now? Yeah, and then obviously was it 1, 2? Oh yeah, and the Arsenal draw. Sorry, and then obviously our only 3 wins since January 12th have been against Fulham, the battering of Southampton, and the Newcastle game, which again, like you said, it wasn't interesting. And then we've had obviously the other draws, the 1-1 against West Brom, the 3-3 against Everton, which still gives me nightmares, and obviously the 1 loss against Sheffield United. Like you said, we have to be really careful, otherwise we are going to look into getting into a top 4 race. We're sort of sleepwalking in games. With I feel like they think that they're doing okay. I feel like they're thinking, right, a draw's fine for us, but it's not. Leicester only need a win and they go second. We're only a point above them. We're not. It's not like back in January when we were like 6 points ahead of them, and I'm Manchester City, but now it's like this side just really needs to pick up their game at the moment. And like I said, like all credit to Manchester City, 21 games on the run. But if United obviously face City next, so we need to win that game in order to try and turn this season around. And going into the Leicester game, I thought Leicester will stay exactly where they are. I thought Leicester have the quality to stay up there because they can. I think they can. Well, they can obviously physically see that United's only a point above them, and they're 5 points ahead of West Ham and 6 ahead of Chelsea and 7 ahead of Everton and Liverpool. So I feel like if they keep looking at the table as in like look at what we're doing right now, I feel like the momentum will come from that. West Ham will drop. Yeah, I feel like in the race for 4th place, I think Everton might nick it. I don't know. I feel like Tuchel's management style will get onto the players a little bit, and they'll just start to drop off because I've heard that he's sort of like a Van Gaal, where he's a disciplinarian. That's apparently something that loads of PSG players said, that he's very on the discipline. But no, it's difficult to predict what's going to happen. Obviously, I think apart from the Champions side, I think Man City have won this bit. But we're back next year. Should we start doing Liverpool fans do next year's our year? No, let's not do that. But I think it'll just be very interesting to see what happens in that top four race. And United, like we've said, they need to get back on the horse and find that spark in order to get back on the horse and, hopefully take on Manchester City and then follow on through for the last 10 games.
Yeah, personally, as a United fan, I just feel like we've lacked urgency. I think we've been bad starters to football games all season, but I think there's always been a point in games where you can see like, okay, they've woke up now. Shaw's woke up. Bruno's woke up. Do you get me? I feel like the last few games, there's nothing. There might be a one run, a long shot, but I think I read a stat. The game yesterday after Matic, I think Matic had a shot on target in the 15th minute. That was our last shot on target of the game. Now, it doesn't take a lot to get a shot on target in a game of football. If you're trying to walk it into the net, it does. But if you're Bruno Fernandes on the edge of the box and it's 85th minute and we're not scored, like, have a pop. Like, there's no urgency. I feel like every game, it's like you said, it feels like the players are like, oh, I feel like United play like we're City. Like, we're 12 points clear and there's no need to push it. There's no need for urgency. Because I feel like the time United play the best is when it's frantic, everyone's on goal, like it's back to front in 5 seconds. But the last few games, it seems like everything's just slowed down a lot. I don't know if that's to do with the selection in midfield. Yesterday we started Fred and Matic. I don't know if it's just what Ollie's saying to them before the games, but there's no urgency about it. Every minute of the game, it looks like United are 4-0 up with 2 minutes left. And really and truly, that's not the case. We need to be on it and go. But it could be to do with Pogba. Pogba's not played the last few games. That could have something to do with it.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
There's just no urgency in the team at the moment.
Yeah, I don't obviously don't want to talk about too much about Manchester United, but it's like it is a case of we are acting like we're still top of the league, and we just need that spark. I know I keep saying it over and over again, but we just need that little bit of spark. Like you said, that players like Luke Shaw and and Rashford and Rashford sort of they've sort of they're sort of continuing their form, and you can tell Rashford's getting stressed. He's getting stressed out with either someone putting the ball over too late or too early for him. Fernandes looks knackered, in my opinion. I feel like he looks knackered. Like I feel like because obviously he's sort of been a workhorse for us, but these past few games he's not been impressive for me.
No.
And I feel like it also could be a case of are we relying on him a bit too much? Because that's something when he was doing so well when he came into the club, I said people, are we going to rely on him too much and then he's just going to want to go? Because that's what we did with Pogba at the start. When Pogba was doing well when he first came back, we relied on him way too much, and then he sort of just like he started playing bad. And then obviously now we've seen glimpses of Pogba-esque football, but I feel like we just need to get our heads down, and I think they need to sit in a circle and just talk about what's happening. Like, why are they not? Why they're not clicking as well as they used to be? I think that's a good place to end it with football/soccer. Next, we're going to talk on NBA news. Utah Jazz, are they legit contenders for this NBA championship? We'll find out next with Tyler Brown, myself, and KB on Towel Talk. Stay tuned for more. So KB, Utah Jazz, they're doing well, aren't they, at this moment in time? They're currently leading the conference with the record as shown here, 27-9. They did lose yesterday, but I feel like I don't know. I'll get your opinion. I'll get your opinion first again, and then I'll go on what I want to go on
to. I'm probably going to be like the typical NBA fan. If it's not the Lakers, Clippers, or the Nets, I don't want to hear it at this point. Anyway, I feel like in the NBA, every year there's a team that comes up and it's like, oh, are they contenders? They've got a good piece here, they've got a good piece there. Are they contenders? I would be very surprised, especially coming out of the West. But as you said, they have got very good players, but I do feel like it's just the Utah Jazz's turn to make a bit of noise this year. I don't feel like they're going to make any deep playoff runs or anything like that, if I'm honest.
Yeah, my case is obviously, giving them credit. I'm not trying to take anything away from their season. They've, as you can see, some of the scores here, they beat the Lakers, they beat the Bucks, they beat the Spurs, they beat the Warriors, they beat the Celtics and the Clippers. But I feel like at the end of the season, when they get knocked out of maybe the second round, I think they might get to the second round of the playoffs. I feel like they will be in the conversation, or they'll be in the Zoom chat. At the end of the season party with the 2015 Atlanta Hawks, then the 2019 last season the Milwaukee Bucks and Miami Heat. They had great seasons, but when it comes to staring game playoff mode LeBron, when LeBron's got his hands in his knees and he's looking up at the scoreboard and he's like, right, okay, guess it's time to turn it on. Similar to Tom Brady when you see him in a Super Bowl or a playoff game and he's on the bench with his head in between his knees. You just know he's going to switch on. And is Donovan Mitchell that player? Is Rudy Gobert, Jordan Clarkson, and Bogdanovic, are they the sort of players that when when playoff mode teams, playoff mode players in the teams come into action, are they going to have a playoff mode? And like I said, I feel like they'll just do exactly what I think they'll do exactly what the Atlanta Hawks of 2015 and the Bucks of Heat of last year will do. They'll just have great regular seasons. They'll get to the second round, or maybe the final of the the championship, and then they'll get beaten by, like you said, the likes of the Clippers, the Lakers, possibly the Nets, maybe. But no, like I said, it's a case of has Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and obviously their head coach, have they got what it takes, or is it just a car crash waiting to happen? In my opinion, Quinn Snyder's not exactly the best coach in the NBA. He's just done enough to get by.
Yeah, I feel it's one of them. I think because in the NBA there's so many games, there's back-to-back games, there's like 4 or 5 games a week, travel. I feel like literally if you hit a bit of form and everything's clicking, you can go on a run of 15 games. It's not like in football where a 15 game run, it cements what you are. I think in the NBA it goes up and down so much all season. And then when the playoffs come, it changes again so much. I can't back the Jazz until I see them do it. Like I can't just go off the regular season.
No, you can't. No, I feel like I think that's an American team. I think that's an American team sport thing. You can't judge them off their regular season because there's a difference between playoff mode and regular season mode. Like I said with LeBron James and Tom Brady and loads of other players. Like, well, let's talking about all them sort of players. It's like once they get into playoff mode, they're unstoppable. Like it's like remember like Calvin Johnson when he was at the Lions in playoff mode, or Marshawn Lynch in playoff mode. They were just beasts. And but if we want to bring it back to basketball, you think of Kevin Durant in playoff mode. Him at the Warriors when he was in playoff mode, that was dangerous. You saw him with his hands on his hips, and he's just chewing his mouth guard in the corner of his mouth. You just knew, right? Here we go. Like, here we go. He's gonna be Kevin Durant. But with the obviously going back to Utah, in a possible car crash, they did lose yesterday against the Sixers in overtime, and Donovan Mitchell sort of had something to say to the officials on his post-match interview yesterday. He sort of said that he said that that they were effing ridiculous. I'm not going to swear because of YouTube censoring, but they said that they were effing ridiculous. That they were screwed by the referees, and here's a quote from him now. First off, give the 76ers credit. They played a hard game. Joel Embiid did what he does, and at the end of the day, they're a good team. but we competed. It's tough to go out there and see how we fight and compete, but we won the game.
I think it's a bit of a next topic, but it ties into what you were just saying about the NBA refs. I think for the past couple of years, really, they have been absolutely ridiculous. I think someone, was it Montrez for the Lakers, yelled and won, and he got a tech.
Yeah.
Like, the way that the refs have been moving recently in the NBA is ridiculous. I seen JJ Redick pass him the ball. He bounced it to him, put a bit of spin on it. Tech, he's out the game. I don't know what's going on in the NBA with the refs, but it just does seem like it's not even like they're not taking anything. They're not taking the smallest things that happen in basketball games.
They've been given too much power. I feel like the same with NFL as well. I feel like referees have a bit too much power in the sports where you're sort of scared to talk to them. Like, I feel like I remember when I first started playing American football a few years, obviously a couple of years, well, more than a few years back. I had to go from playing football, to saying whatever I used to say to referees, and they're just like, "Oh, it's part of the game," like, well, whatever. Like, to go into sir, and it's like, and I'm like, yeah, but you've made a bad decision.
It's almost like I'm all for referee respect and respecting.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then, but sometimes when you're playing, it does feel a bit like you're playing against the team, and then the refs are also the opposition, and it shouldn't be like that. Even if the ref does give a call or whatever, and you don't agree with it, you shouldn't be scared to say, "What's that about?" or whatever. Like, it seems like now you say anything to the ref, especially in the NBA, and you're out of the game.
Oh yeah, I feel like if you touch him, like if you just pat him on the back or something, they'll just go and they'll call you out. And you're like, come on, like.
And you can see on the face when they do the tossing motion, they love it. They're here for it. Like,
they must get a secret bonus when they do it.
Yeah, it must be in the referee group chat. Oh, did you see the wind up on that one today? Like,
imagine an actual group chat between all NBA referees. Like, I think it's sort of like, so when we used to play together, in under 19s at Manchester Titans, and someone did something in the game, and we made like a short little gif of it or something like that.
Yeah.
We have to do it with each other. Like, one referee's just there like, oh, did anyone see my call today? And someone's put in like, and like, it's just like I said, the referees have got way too much power in terms of, it's a sport. People get heated during sports. It's a natural thing. Like, I'm not, I'm as
especially
much
at that level as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I'm talking about us at like at a low level, football and American football and whatever. Like, we're cool and collected guys, but then something doesn't go our way in sport, I'll turn into like in the Incredible Hulk, and I'll lash out at anyone.
Yeah,
and like it's one of those things where you just gotta like, in American sports, you just gotta bite your tongue and just be like, I can't say anything. Then by the time you get over to your coach to say something to him,
it's gone.
Your build-up's all gone. Like, you de-stress on that run over to your head coach, say something. But yeah, it's one of those. Like, but going back to the Utah Jazz, yes or no? Do you think that they will be championship contenders?
No.
I don't even have to argue over whether or not they were being, but like I think we've both said it. Like, they've not got the players, and they haven't got the right personnel in coaching as well, in terms of making the big decisions in the big times. And I feel like I think they lost to the Pelicans the other day, and then the Sixers yesterday. I feel like this is starting to show. This is like the build up in a horror movie to the final, to the final murder or the first murder or something like that. So
yeah.
Right, so that is all we've got for sports news. Next up, we're going to talk about Big Talk. It premieres on Monday, the 8th of March, and we finally got our first topic to speak about. This is Tyler Brown and KB of Tyler Talk. Stay tuned for more. So, KB, obviously, I've announced a couple of weeks ago that we are going to have a different show on a Monday. It's called Big Talk, and and what it basically is, we only talk about the big stuff. We don't talk about the little petty arguments. We talk about the big conversations that, it's a subject that you don't get bored with too easily. It's one of those conversations where you sat with all the lads somewhere and someone says something and it kicks off a big discussion, not argument, because you never argue with the boys. Yeah, you have heated discussions. You never argue with the boys. You have heated discussions. Like me, obviously, the person who I live with right now, my flatmate, we have big discussions, heated argument, heated discussions all the time, never arguments.
I think he has heated discussions with everyone, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like, and they're the ones that they're the ones that don't really get reported on much. I feel like they're the ones that TV shows don't like to really put them on because they will take up so much space. But over here at Towel Talk, we'll talk about it all day long if we have to. So I feel like we should just go into we'll do honorable mentions and then we'll go into the final winner. So honorable mentions: will Arsenal ever be a top side again? The best Premier League team ever. And I asked the person who messaged me because I said, "Is that a player XI or is that like the class of '99 or the Centurions or the Invincibles?" And it's like that. He meant it as which actual team side, a established team, not a mixture of players. But that's also a good one as well. And then one that came in a lot recently last week. What is key for an NFL team's success? Obviously, me and KB aren't we're not NFL owners or GMs and not, but we can always give our opinion on what we think takes what brings in. But thank you for everyone that did put a nomination in. If you want this topic or another topic to be said, comment on this video and the future videos in future to then be wanted. But I thought we should just do an announcement video of what the next subjects would be. So listen up and watch this. Yes, it is. Are sports documentaries good or bad for the subject? Yeah, and obviously, this is going off the basis of, we're obviously going to talk about the different types of sports documentaries there are out there, the ones that we like and the ones that we don't really like. But I put a couple of examples on there that, ones that me and KB, we spoke the other day, and ones that we've watched. So Hard Knocks, obviously, is it's the main NFL documentary now, isn't it, KB? Apart from, I say All or Nothing as well on Amazon Prime. But they sort of do everything now, don't they? They did rugby, college football, and now even football/soccer. Take Us Home by Leeds United. I think you said you haven't watched that one yet, have you?
No, I've seen short clips and stuff, but I've never sat down and watched the full thing.
Yeah, that one honestly is it goes off the two seasons before they got into the Premier League. So it's not their Premier League season, this one. It's the 2 seasons before that. And it goes through their new ownership takeover and bringing in, obviously, the main man, Bielsa, and how they got themselves to the Premier League and stuff like that. Then obviously we have to mention The Last Dance. It was probably the biggest documentary of last year. Because I think it finally lifted the lid on a different perspective on how sports documentaries are done. And then obviously, like I mentioned, All or Nothing, Sunderland Till I Die, that's on Netflix as well. That one, I love that one, me.
Yeah, Sunderland Till I Die, I really like that one.
I feel like it was, obviously I don't want to get into it too much, but it was different. It was different from all the documentaries because of the way that, because of how far Sunderland fell, and since leaving the Premier League, and how the new ownership again took over and wanted something different. And obviously, your single person documentaries like Iverson or Ronaldo and the Messi one and stuff like that. But like I said, that one does premiere on Monday, the 8th of March, roughly around 3 p.m. But obviously, me and KB have lives and stuff like that, so it will be up. It will be up on Monday, but just don't know just when. And that is all for today's show. Obviously, I want to thank KB for finally getting on the show, and obviously he'll be on future shows as well. So thank you for that, KB.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
No worries. And like I said, next show is the 12th of March, Friday, for Towel Talk. Big Talk, once again, is on this Monday, the 8th of March, around 3 p.m. But obviously, thank you to everyone that has helped help us get this far. If you want to sponsor a video, get in contact over Instagram. And if you want to feature in a video, please also contact us through Instagram. The Instagram is TYB_talk. That is correct, TYB_talk. But also, do not forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on our future videos. So for the last time today, I'm Tyler Brown. This has also been KB on Towel Talk. Thank you for watching. See you guys on Monday.